Hello everyone, welcome to another A Healthy New Zealand podcast. And today I have my very good friend, Charlene Gaskill, who's come along to answer some questions about getting healthy, weight loss, mindset, and talk to you from her experience of dealing with those things. So, hey Charlene, thanks so much for coming along.
Hi, Sue. That's totally fine. Happy to be here.
I really, really appreciate it. You and I worked together over the years. I don't know. I was trying to think how long we've known each other. Maybe 15 years or so.
At least.
Yeah, quite longer than that. It's been a long time. And we've worked together over those years, a lot in between you having gone off to Australia and having babies and baby and all sorts of things. Yes. So we started working together again about a year ago, or a bit over a year ago. And so it's been really great sharing that journey with you. So I wonder if you would mind sort of telling people, what's been going on in your life, and then how you've been dealing with it, and
Since I approached you last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think in our previous chat, I briefly touched about what was going on for me, and just feeling tired, and going to the doctors and getting told it was basically because I was an older mum that I was tired, and I was like, oh no, that doesn't sit well. Obviously approached you, got some blood tests done, and we just started slowly changing my diet. And then 3 months in, we did some more blood tests, and that showed that I was insulin resistant. Is that what you call it, Sue? So really revved up the kind of change of diet. Didn't really do a lot of exercise last year while changing the diet. And partly because you suggested just to concentrate on the diet to initially start with. Through doing that, I slept better, didn't have those slumps in the afternoon. I didn't find the change of diet too challenging. I was pretty focused on making that change for my health because of what my blood results had shown up. And so that was kind of my drive. And, I wanted to have the energy and stuff to keep up with my son. He's 4 now. So he's very busy. So yeah, it kind of right up until Christmas, I was really, really focused, and we had some more blood tests done, I think in late November. And I was actually really, really scared about getting them done because I had changed so much and I had been really focused. But they were really good. They were good results. Still had a lot of room to move and improvement, but a vast improvement on what they were in the February. And so that was really cool to see. And, I had weight loss through just changing my diet and making those better choices for my health. And it hadn't been about the weight loss for me either. It was definitely more about getting that energy back. And, from the blood results, like seeing the insulin come down was also really, really exciting, because I was like, oh my God, it is mainly diet, like when it comes to that sort of stuff. So yeah, and then I had some next lot of tests. I think I've kind of put it off for nearly a month because I was like, oh my God, because I should have had them done at the end of February. I think it was sort of the middle of March. And I've been a little bit more relaxed since Christmas with my diet, obviously the festive season, and we spoke about that sort of mid-January. I think we had a catch up, and I was like, oh, I had been drinking a few beers and relaxing and enjoying life and family, and, that sort of festive time. And So yeah, I was a bit like, oh my God, what's my results going to be like? But they were still really good actually. So, but my weight loss has definitely plateaued since then. It's kind of just been stable really since Christmas.
Okay.
So yeah, now it's re-looking at, I mean, even my insulin, I think it's come down more than 100% on what it was. So even though my diet has been a little bit more relaxed, I'm still making better choices. And one thing you said to me, Sue, was as long as you can make the least worst choice. And I think that's probably been one of the biggest things that I've talked to people about. And, you know, that's a tool that's been really, really useful for me, you know, because you get caught out or you end up somewhere, you might not be organized or planned for things. And just having that in, you know, in my back pocket, realizing like, you know, just make the least worst choice is better than, oh, I can't have that because it's bad food, or, you know, like that's been really, really useful for me, I think. Yeah, because it's just an everyday challenge, and just resetting at each meal if something goes wrong or something's not quite to plan. It's not the end of the world. It's life, it happens. So
that's something we talked about quite a lot during the year last year, wasn't it? Was the fact that you're only one meal away from, you know, being back on track. I don't like using that kind of terminology. I don't like talking about good food and bad food and being good and bad about your food, but you're only one meal away from being, you know, eating for your health. And of course, we're all going to have these challenges, and we don't have to be perfect. And it's really not about being good or bad. I ate that, so now I'm bad, or I ate that, so now I'm good. It's really about eating for that internal chemical factory that is inside your body. So you're giving that factory all the nutrients it needs in order for you to be healthy. And then you have some, you know, as you've found, you have a little bit of leeway. You can have a few beers and you can have some celebration, and it doesn't really throw everything off track.
no. And the other thing, since Christmas, I'm exercising every 2 or 3 days, and like, you know, that's a massive jump from where I was this time last year. I couldn't sustain any sort of consistent in exercise because I just didn't have, I was so tired. I just was really, really tired, and it was just, I couldn't do it. Whereas now I'm like, I want to do it, and I'll go for a, you know, they're not, I just, as long as I can get 20 or 30 minutes in and I make the most of that time as best as I can. And it's good for my mind. It makes me feel good. I like having a sweat up. I mean, you know, when I used to come to the gym in Rotorua, I loved it. I loved doing that, the types of workouts that we used to do at your gym. And I enjoyed that, you know, and it's not that I don't want to exercise. I just simply didn't have the energy to do it. Whereas I have now. So even that in itself is really cool. Yeah.
And you always move beautifully. You've got really good biomechanics, and you've got really good body awareness and perception of your body, and you were really strong. So it was always a great thrill seeing you in the gym working out, you know, she is a bigger lady, because, you know, you could just really not only, you know, lift good heavy weights, but you did it with really beautiful form, and, you know, and it was a great example for other people as well. So, and you enjoyed it, you know?
Yeah. And it's interesting, like, even though I haven't lost weight since Christmas, when I look in the mirror, which sometimes can be a really hard thing to do, I can see the change in my legs, even just, you know, with the bits of, you know, the body weight stuff that I'm doing at home, or my walk, jog sort of things that I'm, you know, trying to push myself, just getting that little bit more cardio. You know, I'm still a long way off from being like where I have been with my fitness, but I can see the changes in my muscles and my legs and stuff. So it's definitely, you know, things are still changing and, you know, I probably did get a little stuck on what I was seeing on the scales after Christmas, and kind of got away from why I was eating, why I've changed how I'm eating. But getting those blood results just recently just made me realize, well, actually what I'm doing is still working. I've just maybe just got to readjust a few things to move forward from here. Yeah. So.
And I think exercise is really important, and building muscle is really important. And you can do it the way you're doing it. Short sessions, regular sessions, body weight, exercises, and everybody can improve their muscle function and tone at their own level and in their own way. And muscle really is one of the key components of this whole process, because it's not just about, it's not so much even, you know, I hate using these terms, but it's not so much being over fat, it's being under muscled. And if you've got more muscle, then your body composition is much better, and then that has a huge impact on your health.
Yeah. And I think too, because I've been, you know, when I lived in Rotorua and I went to your gym and came and did the sessions, I know I can build that muscle, and you don't get all big and bulky, and, you know, I know all that, and I want to get back to that. You know, I'm not in a position where I can go and spend an hour in the gym. It's just not reality for me right now. I'm a single mum, so, you know, I have to kind of work around that. And that means doing, you know, a 20-minute little body weight workout, which has got squats and lunges and burpees or whatever, you know, at home. Or when I get time, I can go out and I can go for a walk. You know, I wouldn't say run, it's more of a jog, but, you know, like, I just try and make the best of what I can. And yeah, I enjoy it. I love it, you know, and it's, yeah, just trying to get back to where I was, or where I know I can get to with the strength, because I love that feeling of feeling strong. And I guess probably, you know, back in February last year, that was one thing you got me to write down my why I wanted to change. And, you know, the main thing was the energy and just to feel fit and strong. Yes, I've always been on the bigger side. I've never been a skinny mini, never will be. I think I don't really want to be either, but I know that I need to still lose weight. But, you know, a year ago, that wasn't the focus of it, and it was just a byproduct of the change, my lifestyle change. It's been a lifestyle change. It's not been a diet. And I've been quite open with you about it. I'm on the slow train. It's, you know, it's just, I don't want it to be a diet. It can't be a diet. I've been there, done that. I've done all those sort of things in the past. So yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle thing. Yeah, moving forward, and I'm happy with where I am at. And I've sort of, this start of the year has been a little bit of a mental challenge, as in to getting my head back into the game, and, you know, remembering why I started this. And, you know, you get caught up in past stuff that comes back through. And just processing it and realizing it and acknowledging it, I guess, as well, as part of it too.
I'd really like to touch on that a little bit, because I think it's fair to say that, well, I think there's two parts to this whole kind of health issue that we've got going, and why I started sort of this Healthy New Zealand project in the first place. And part of that is there is increasing obesity, and obesity doesn't really matter. Putting on weight doesn't actually matter until it becomes something that affects your health. And we know that subcutaneous fat, we know that storing fat around your hips and legs and buttocks and arms is quite healthy. And it's something that our bodies have evolved to do. You know, when there's a food surplus, we store extra body fat, and then when there's restrictions, we lose it. And it's really important for reproduction and even longevity. So it's not so much that fat itself is a bad thing. It's just that we're living in a time where the kinds of foods we're eating means that we're storing fat in places that are not good for our health. So around our abdominal area, all that visceral fat and ectopic fat around all those organs. And it's a really touchy, delicate subject because there's no way, you know, me or anyone else wants to go out and fat shame people.
No.
But by the same token, you're looking at the increases in diabetes, and especially in our children, and cancers, and all these other diseases that we know are really related to storing this fat around this visceral fat around this abdominal area. And so how do you facilitate change in people, and how do you get people here? And then we live in a society of this amazing tasting food that you buy it and it tastes so good. And I know myself, you know, when I eat it, I don't want to stop. I want to just keep eating it because it just tastes so damn good. You know, it's got that combination of carbs, sugar, and fat, and salt, and all these flavorings that the manufacturers have spent millions of dollars refining so that we eat it and then we want to eat more. So, yeah, I really like your thoughts about how to connect with people, or how people can connect back to themselves in terms of being able to be realistic like you've done, but being honest and saying, yeah, hey, I really do need to do something. This isn't really a good path to carry on.
Oh, that's a hard one. I guess, like, for me, I wouldn't say that I had a really bad diet before and that I was super unhealthy, but obviously what I was eating for myself wasn't working for me either. You know, I said that I've been more relaxed with my diet since Christmas. I've always been one, and I've said to you years ago that I've always been an emotional eater. And I remember years and years ago, you said to me that you can't think of food as a treat. You have to think of it as fuel. Food is fuel. Yes, we can have treats on a special occasion or whatever, but your everyday eating, you just have to think of it as fuel for your body. And I think we live in a, like you say, with marketing and the foods now. I mean, I love a bit of chocolate. I love, all that kind of stuff. But when I do eat that sort of stuff, or if I have pasta, which I hardly have anymore at all, but sometimes I have it, I can feel when I've eaten, I feel horrible. I do not feel good. And I guess everyone, or maybe not everyone, will get to a point if they need to change things, and it just steers you. I think for me, it was those blood tests was just a slap in the face. It's like, you need to do something, otherwise I would have ended up with diabetes. I couldn't continue, like my weight was creeping up. I was trying to exercise and I was tired, and then I would do a little bit of that emotional eating. On you eat stuff to make you feel good. Some people might go have a smoke, some people might have a drink, and some people might go shopping, whatever it is. I've always kind of, I guess, gone to the food thing, which, in turn has not helped me at all. I can look at food and I put weight on. It's my genetic makeup. We are bigger, solider people as well, so, that's against me a little bit in some regards. I'm tall, I'm broad, I'm never going to be a size 6. But it's just that it's hard, because food, everything that you go and do with anyone, it's either going for a coffee or, everything generally is revolved around food, although starting to, go for a walk instead with a friend, or, different things like that. You just make different choices along the way. Or even if you do go for a coffee, I can happily go for a coffee now and not have anything to eat.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time, you go for a coffee and you'd have a cake or a scone or something. It's just what you do. Well, you can make it not what you do. You can just go for a coffee or a tea. I know it's a hard one. I can understand why people start to look at their house and then it gets all too hard. I find it quite complicated, but I've been lucky. I've had you in my corner to help me understand and explain stuff. I mean, even our little chat last week, and I said, I'm finding myself hungry, and you said I might be nutrient hungry rather than hungry because I'm not necessarily having to eat more when I'm hungry, because even my portion sizes are much smaller. It's just having that nutrient dense food or slightly different food to nourish and fuel my body so that I can continue and carry on the path I am. But I can definitely see why people just put it in the too hard basket. I'm reading labels on things in the supermarket. I'll stop in the supermarket and I actually read labels, and then I'll go and put it back, or, like, oh yeah, I can have this, or I can't have that, or I'm unsure, so I'll just leave it. And whereas before I probably wouldn't have done any of that. I guess we just have to take responsibility for our own health. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, only you can change it and seek help for it. Like, no one else can do it for you. I mean, you've helped me heaps, Sue, and trying to help me understand stuff. And I think how you've explained it to me, I've been able to understand it and work with it and move forward. And the changes I've made have worked, but the buck has to stop with the individual. I think you can't. Someone can tell you what to do, but unless you actually want to do it, nothing will ever change. And it's hard. Ads on TV or magazines you read or things you scroll through on Facebook or whatever, it's all around you. Everything's in your face about all these lovely things and nice foods, and it's a challenging thing. I don't know if that's answered your question, but it is. I've found it challenging in some regards, but in other regards it's not, because I think I was at that point where I needed to change for myself and for my son too, for my health, because I just wanted to have that energy back.
Can you explain about the emotional eating? So would you be able to talk through the triggers for that, and then how that makes you feel, and then why you choose, when you do emotionally eat, why you choose what you choose, and then how you feel afterwards,
In the past, the emotional eating was, I guess, to make myself feel better. If something upset me, or it was sometimes a reward, if I'd done something good, I'd have, so it gives you that feel good thing. So not necessarily always a bad thing to go and emotionally eat. But, I do it myself with my child. Oh, if you do this, I'll give you a lolly, or, you do it. Like, everyone does it. Like, if someone says that they don't do that with their child, and that's maybe something that, as I was growing up or whatever, we got, treats if we were good or whatever. So it kind of could swing both ways with me for emotional eating. I guess in the moment when you're eating those sweet things or ice cream or, whatever it is, you have that initial, oh, this is so yummy and it's lovely, and you get all that, that nice feeling. I mean, then often now, if I have anything like that, I just feel rubbish afterwards. I feel guilty. I'm like, oh, why did I eat that? Like, I shouldn't eat that. And, especially if I've had a bit of a binge on something, because we do, life happens. You get a bit stressed for whatever reason, and I will go and, I just don't have any of that kind of food in the house, because sometimes I still don't have that control. I might open a packet of biscuits and next minute they're all gone. I'm not going to lie about it. I do it. It happens, but I do it way less now. But then I've removed a lot of that temptation and things from my home. I I still have little treats for my son, but I generally don't have them now. So it's just something that you kind of work on, I guess, or I've wanted to work on, because I don't want to have that horrible feeling. And I know even if it's not necessarily emotional eating, or I've eaten something that just doesn't sit well with my system, I feel rubbish, and I feel either lethargic or just bloated or just that yuck feeling. So I just don't even want to go there now. Yeah. So the emotional eating it's a hard one, because you do it, and sometimes you do it in secret. You don't even want anyone to know that you've eaten it either.
Mm. Mm.
You might eat in the car, or like you quickly eat it and no one will see you, so you didn't eat it. Well, actual fact, you did.
I think that something I've talked about a lot and have worked towards is the long-termness of this, that this is long-term, and like you have said, this is a lifestyle change. This isn't about being perfect for a month, or perfect while you do a boot camp, or do some sort of challenge for a month and then go back to how you were before. So we've talked a lot about the fact that it's got to be real life, and that this stuff is going to come up all the time. And one of the things I get my clients to do is identify the challenging times before they even start. So this is what you think you want to do, but what is likely to come in and stop you from doing it? And, over the years, I've heard all the reasons why, and those reasons never go away. There's always going to be, someone's going to be sick, or someone's going to need some help, or you're going to be tired, or you're going to have a bad night's sleep, or the house needs painting, or the cat's sick, or you've got to take the dog to the vet, or whatever it is. And I think it's about being able to identify that those are always there, and then find a way to keep on getting back on track. You're only one meal away from being back on track. And I think we've laughed and joked about, like if you can't clean your teeth for a day, you don't go, oh, that's it, I can never clean my teeth again. Or if you miss a shower, you don't go, oh my God, oh, well, no more showers for me. The next opportunity you get in the shower and you get that toothbrush out. So I think, if we can keep our humour about it and perhaps see it in that way, maybe that's helpful for people.
Yeah. I think too, like, for me, I guess it is a little bit with that emotional eating thing, is like leading up to Christmas, people were noticing that I had lost weight. I've lost 14 kilos just purely through diet up until Christmas, and people were noticing, oh, you look amazing, you're looking really good, and oh my God, and part of me was like, oh, I don't like that attention. Like, oh, no, I don't like that. I'm just doing this for me. Like, I'm not doing it for any of this. And, I watched a Facebook Live that you did with a lady in Sydney. What was her name?
Natalie.
Yes. And she talked about that whole emotional triggers and like all that kind of, I was like, so maybe that's partly why I'm, that little bit of lapsing or not making as good a choices. I'm kind of, some subconscious stuff was coming through, and, then I was like, okay, that's all right. Well, that's fine. Maybe that's what's making it a little harder or challenging to get back on track or make those better choices. And that's when I realized I was getting focused on what was on the scales and went away from why I started my lifestyle change. And then, I've done my measurements and not looked at the scales, and I'm like, well, actually, I'm still doing all right. And things are changing. And I've lost a lot of my weight around my middle, still got a lot more to go. But, I was in a size 20. I've bought a size 16 jeans the other week, so, be it they're still a little bit snug, but they're a size 16. There's no way this time last year I could have fitted into a size 16 jeans, you know. So a little bit of that, you know, emotional eating was, I think, happening through
that
attention I was getting, but I recognized it, and now I'm kind of like, and now I guess that's partly why I put off getting those blood tests. But then when I got the blood tests, I was like, phew, it's still like, even though I have been relaxed, my insulin, and that's why I started, and that's what was the real kick up the butt, was because that was massively high. I don't know how high that is compared to a lot of other people, Sue. I mean, you might know, but I still have to come down another half again, you know. So yeah, there's lots of different types of triggers for all that kind of thing, you know.
You've done a really good job of bringing that insulin down, and that is one of the best things you can possibly do for your health, is get that insulin down.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, and we all do it, you know, we all kind of are conditioned about the scale weight, you know, and how much we weigh on the scales. And of course, the scale weight is the weight of our whole body, of everything that's in our body. And it's not reflective of our body composition and that ratio of muscle and fat that we've got. And it changes. I mean, it can change in an hour. It changes over the course of a day. And particularly for women with hormones, it can go up and down 2 or 3 or 4 kgs over the course of a couple of days.
Yeah, certainly can.
And so to get on the scales in the morning and go, oh, I feel good about myself today because the scales are down, and then get on them tomorrow and go, oh, I feel rubbish about myself today because the scales are up. Yeah, really doesn't make any logical sense at all.
No, it doesn't. No, it really is a mind game, Sue, and a big mind game. I've found it challenging this first half of the year, part of the year. But then I've also had some realizations, like watching that Facebook Live you did, and I was like, that's what that is. And, you know, just life in general, as it goes along, like you said, there's always something, someone's sick or something's happening, or you got to work late, or, you know, there's always something. So there's never a right time, or this whole let's start on Monday rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, and I still keep going back to that, making the least worst choice and reset at the next meal. And I just keep going back to that. And yeah, it definitely is a mind game of how you look at things, and the words you use too. So like just your everyday words of good food, bad food, you know, all that kind of stuff. You kind of really got to look at the whole picture. Yeah, it is. It's interesting. It's just been an interesting journey so far.
Well, I think one of the things that we did and we talked about, and I find quite useful for people, is, you know, I basically say I don't really care what you eat, like to some extent, you know, I don't care what you eat, but I would like you to eat more nourishing foods. So I'd like you to eat foods that are more nutrient dense. And of course, the foods that are nutrient dense don't put weight on your body. So they are foods that are high in amino acids, vitamins and minerals and trace elements. And those foods don't get stored as body fat. So all those animal food proteins that we eat aren't stored as body fat, and they shouldn't really be counted as calories either when we eat them.
Yeah.
And it's the food that provides the energy to our body, you know, as we've talked about, you know, either the carbohydrates or the fat, they both provide energy to our body, and our body can only tolerate a certain amount of energy. It only needs a certain amount of energy. And when we have too much energy in our bloodstream, it has to take that energy and store it somewhere. So it stores it as body fat. And then when we've got high levels of body fat and we're still eating a lot of energy, it's really dangerous for our body. We can't burn the body fat while we've got a lot of energy in our bloodstream. So our body keeps that insulin high, so the body fat will stay stuck in the fat will stay stuck in the body fat while you burn that energy off that's in the food that you've eaten. And then, you know, you just burnt it off and then you go and eat again. And so you never get a chance to tap into those fat stores, and you never get a chance to bring that insulin down. So I think the nutrient density of the food, you know, get those proteins in with those really good, you know, vitamins and minerals and macronutrients, and that helps you feel satisfied. And then once you've done that, then I just say, well, you eat whatever you want up until up until hunger's gone, you know, so that you're not hungry. And let's take away this is good, that's bad, you know, as much as we can.
Oh, definitely. And look, that first 3 months when I first started, you suggested just to change my breakfast, and that's all I did for that first 3 months. But in that 3 months, changing my breakfast, and then I started making lots of little changes, like sometimes I'd have sugar in my coffee, sometimes I wouldn't, and I just eliminated that. And then it was just like it was like a domino effect of little changes. And I guess maybe the way I approached it on your suggestion by just changing my breakfast was much easier. So when we got to that next 3 month point and you were like, oh, your insulin is really still too high, Shah, you need to do something. And you said to me, it's going to be hard. And you suggested to do like a keto style diet, but keep my protein high. And I looked up keto and I was like, oh, keto flu, this and that. But I never got any of that because I'd already started eliminating a huge amount of those types of food anyway. So, you know, I was on that slow journey. And look, I went from someone who was eating every 2 or 3 hours and absolutely starving to then, you know, I was quite hungry in the start, like in between those meals. But then I think that was the mind going, well, because I was so used to eating every 2 or 3 hours, and you get told, you know, all the different diets and things and ways to eat, and, you know, eggs are good, eggs aren't good, you know, like all that sort of stuff. There's new things, bacon's good for you, it's not good for you, you know, all these things that you get told that we get thrown in our face. And I just kept going, no, I've got to just do this and try and eat those kind of whole nourishing foods, eliminate all that high energy stuff, because I wasn't using that energy, and it just made sense. And it made it easier doing those small changes to, you know, to where I am now, where I, you know, if I get caught out at work and I'm busy all day and I don't eat, my body, I can go all day, you know, not that that's an ideal thing, and it's not something I purposely do. And I know we've kind of touched on a bit of fasting stuff, and there is fasting stuff out there that you can do. I haven't purposely gone and not eaten at work, but sometimes with my work, that's what just happens. You just get busy and just keep going. But you know, a year ago, there's no way I could have coped doing that. But now I can. It's doable. I can just, you know, it's because my body is functioning better.
The way it's designed to function. Yeah. Because our bodies are designed to be able to burn that, you know, stored body fat that we talked about in the beginning, that, you know, we store it when we're in abundance. And then, you know, from an ancestral evolutionary point of view, we didn't always have food available all the time. So when we had food, we stored it as fat. And then when we didn't have food, we were able to operate and survive by, you know, the grocery store was around our hips and our thighs, and so we just tapped into them instead of going shopping, you know.
So it's been easy and hard all at the same time for me. But it's great. It's been useful, and I found the way you explain stuff to me and the information that you have to share has been, you know, hands down amazing and helpful, and I found it easy to understand.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. That's really cool. It's always such a pleasure to work with you. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else? I've taken up quite a bit of your time. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about today, or any other recommendations or suggestions you have for people?
Recommendations or suggestions? Look after yourselves. Look at your own, look at your, have a long, hard look at yourself and just, are you happy with where you're at? Because only you can make those changes, really. And I'm glad I've made the changes I've made so far. And if anyone needs any help, give Sue a call, because she's a wealth of knowledge that I'm very lucky that, I've had the pleasure of, your help over the years that I've known you as well. It's taken me a little bit to get there to make the big change, but
you're doing a great job. Just one other thought, Charlene, because this is something that one of my key motivations is the kids, and just seeing the increase in type 2 diabetes in our children and the increase in cancers, and knowing that they are now exposed to heart disease in their 20s and 30s rather than in their 60s and 70s is a real worry. What thoughts, what would you recommend? Do you have any thoughts or recommendations for parents about dealing with that? You're a mum of a young boy, and it's really challenging.
It is, and I guess it makes me immediately think of one thing I spoke to you about at the start, was that, because I don't eat a lot of fruit now. I don't say that I don't eat it, but like things like apples aren't great for me. And my boy loves fruit. He eats a wide variety of stuff, and he'd often want to share with me. And I said to you, I don't want to be saying no all the time to him. And I don't want him thinking or seeing me as eating completely different and, making him think that there's good and bad foods, and the words I use around how to say no, or sometimes have a little bit with him and, set a good example for them. Show them how to make choices when it comes to food. Be careful of how you word things, the treats, the rewards, and all that kind of stuff. They're learning their habits as little ones, and we've got to help and show them how to be and choose better choices for themselves later in life, because their health is important. I mean, I'm struggling, or have struggled, and I'm making changes now, and I've made massive changes. But they look up to us. We need to set the example of what a healthy lifestyle is for them, because they're a product of their environment. And if you're eating shitty food and have no energy and don't want to do anything, why? You're just teaching your kids to do that too. And you see some really overweight children, and you just think, how has that happened? Like, it's a shame. It's a real shame. And it's just setting them up for a massive struggle for the rest of their lives, really. I'm lucky my boy is very active. He don't get me wrong, he has lollies, he has chippies and stuff. He doesn't drink fizzies. He's a water drinker, drinks a lot of water. I drink a lot of water though. So that's something I've instilled in him, obviously. He'll might go sit, if we're at a party or something, he'll think he'll have a little fizzy drink like everyone else, and he has one little thing, he's like, oh no. And I'm like, oh yes. Or he'll ask for him, and one of his cousins will always ask for water. Sometimes he has juice, but it's just that whole show them how to be, how to make those healthier choices, because they're a product of their environment. End of.
Do you think de-emphasizing food, de-emphasizing the importance, or not so much the importance of food, but de-emphasizing food as you said, as a reward or as a treat, like can we just make food just a normal part of life, the way we make, you know, doing things like cleaning our teeth and taking a bath and a shower. It's just something that we have to do every day to eat, and set up reward systems with other things, you know, reading a book with your kid or going out and throwing a ball with them, or
going to the park, or
turning the phone off and having a conversation. Maybe.
Yeah, totally. It's hard because I mean, I have one child, and sometimes he can be very challenging. But for the most part, you know, I'm very lucky that he does eat a wide variety of stuff. I used to, when he first started eating food, I was very obsessed with trying to make him eat this and eat that. And I'm definitely much more relaxed about it, and try not to make a fuss about it. You know, if you don't want to eat it, that's fine. You know, he can help himself to the fridge, whatever, and there's always carrots and, you know, apples or pears, and he'll sit and eat, you know, at dinner time if I do some broccoli, not always, just eat broccoli, you know, little trees, and he'll eat the thing, you know. So I'm definitely, I think the more relaxed I've become around it and not forcing it, it is easier. He eats a variety of stuff. Another thing with my mum and I, and they do it at the daycare, they put the food out and they help themselves. So we've tried with my boy and my nieces, and we'll at dinner time we'll put all the food on the table and they can help themselves. And they actually probably eat more of a variety rather than dishing out something on a plate and not saying you have to eat this. You know, it's giving them that choice, and they can make that choice. And I guess that's just a way of then giving them tools of how to make better choices, and having a variety of stuff, because it's just the variety, you know. You just don't want them stuck on one particular thing. Or I think we just need to be more mindful that we are the example for them, and if we're not making good choices for ourselves, how can we expect them to make better choices for them? And that's how they will end up with health issues. You know, it's not rocket science.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that.
That's all right.
Lovely to see you. Thank you, Sha.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sue.